Nick, happy Alexander Nikishin, just happy Nikishin Day. I don't know what else to call it. It's official, like his season's over, and I'm sure your phone has not cooled down in 2 days.
I shouldn't have let you do the intro. Yeah, no. Welcome back to Developing Hurricanes. No, my phone has been on fire the past 2 days, and as you can kind of guess why, it's because Sunday afternoon, SKA lost in their first round series against Dynamo Moscow thanks to Maxime Comtois and Cedric Paquette, legendary Hurricanes players. And so now we're all just kind of playing the waiting game. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, as we all know. The bearer of bad news, no, me. Oh, I love giving nothing but good news. It's my strive in life. But as I've been saying for the past few months, this is going to take time. It's not okay. Season's over. Bam, he's at the Western Boulevard McDonald's. That's not.
I mean, hey, he might be there as we speak. We don't know.
That'd be really impressive.
Right? just like calling out his location.
I mean, if he's there already, that's unbelievable work. But
Yeah.
no,
Shout out Tulski.
I would assume he's currently in St. Petersburg figuring out a lot of things, and also probably still going through the loss of his season. Obviously, it's probably definitely not how he wanted it to end, seeing as he's the captain. That was the one thing he truthfully has never won in Russia that was really important, was the KHL, the trophy, the Gagarin Cup. It was the one thing he really hadn't won. He was already named the best defenseman, I believe, for at least one season, if not two. I don't know if he'll get it this year. I think it might go to Trevor Murphy, but he's basically done everything in the KHL. And, Russian media, the big one, Alexei Shevchenko, today even said it's time for Nikishin to move on. He knows. Russia knows. Again, it's just a matter of time, because time is a cruel, cruel mistress.
Yeah, I mean the what was it? Not the I don't want to call it a victory lap, but like the lap he did around the arena to thank the fans. That's very telling. Players really only do that when they know that they're not going to play for the team anymore. And it's hard, I'm sure, for Nikishin. This is a team he's been with for 3 years now. He's broken every record imaginable for a defenseman. He's cemented himself as the best defenseman in SKA history.
Yep.
In 3 years, which is unreal.
That is correct. At his age as well, 20 through 23.
Right, and also just in general, 3 years to be the best defenseman in anything is a very short time. That's unbelievable, and it just kind of shows you the type of talent that Carolina will eventually be getting, right? I know Friedman had talked about it today where he wasn't available in trade talks and all that. The reason I think I've been so optimistic about it is because if Nikishin wasn't signing, he would have been gone at this deadline.
Probably, yeah.
The Canes would have used him in a move to do something.
Yeah, because as we've seen in the past, this org is very much so run on getting value no matter what. As we saw with the Lucas Mercuri thing, he can't. Reports came out he wasn't going to sign. They traded him for a 6th-round pick. That's value back for a guy.
And maybe that 6th-round pick will turn into another Lucas Mercuri.
It could also just turn into Nikishin again.
It could. The likelihood of that happening is very low, but I like your optimism.
Hey, man. Like I said, I hate being the bearer of bad news.
But yeah, I mean, with Nikishin, I also, we kind of have to celebrate this, right? It's a cool moment for us as prospect nerds who cover the Hurricanes and the prospects and all that. It's cool seeing this finally happen because, we haven't had a prospect of this magnitude.
I think I was talking about that with somebody today that, I think the last one they said was Skinner, but even then the Skinner hype couldn't touch this. This is a whole different level.
Well, Skinner was immediate, and the reason I say that this is different is because we've had to wait 5 years for Nikishin,
Yeah.
like the pick to pay off. Um, with Nikishin being in Russia, like I tweeted it the other day. Like I remember October of 2020, like right after he was drafted, being like, "Hey guys, like this dude might actually be okay. Like he's a third round pick, but like." There's something here, and like I was kind of afraid to say that because like you champion, you try, like I feel like at least my imposter syndrome would always kick in, and I'd be like, Matt, you're just trying to find the late round gems so you can sound smarter than everybody, and that's my own mental health issue, but we won't unpack that here. But like with Nikishin, the more I watched him, the more I'm like, no, like this kid's actually really good. He's just playing in a horrible system.
Oh yeah.
And like we're talking a system that weirdly is like not putting him on the power play. They're just trying to make him that like stereotypical bruising defenseman, and like he does well in that role. Like we've seen him play that role just fine, but like you watch him play on the power play, you see how bad Scott is
Dude,
without him,
he was a
and then you
game.
go,
Oh,
oh, okay, like this kid's actually something else.
yeah, he was especially on the power play, he was a game changer because anytime they would leave him open, he was shooting and he was getting a high danger chance off. And then if he's not
At
shooting,
least one or two.
and then if he's not shooting it, he's giving it to he's giving it to the bump the flanks. And on one side you have one of the best prospects in hockey in Ivan Demidov, and on the other one I think you had somebody I couldn't even tell you, probably Mikhail Grigorenko if I had to bet. So, but
That's a throwback name.
he is a genuine game changer. I don't think there's any other word for it. It's just he changed the makeup of that series to SKA has no hope to okay, SKA has a genuine chance because they have their beast back. And I mean, you see it in the averages. He had in the first game back from injury, he had 22 minutes. That's a down time for him. In the next three,
Right, that's easing him back into the lineup.
I was going to say, in the next 3 games, he had 37 minutes in a double overtime game. He had 28 minutes in a one overtime game, and he had 28 minutes in a regulation game.
Yeah, I mean he's unreal. Like the dude's a freak of nature athletically, and it's so funny that like he's dating somebody that like technically is probably like
More
a
famous
more
than him.
recognized
Yeah.
athlete than him because she's like a gold medalist, I guess.
Yeah, she I have not done I don't do research into the significant others, but I had that one post when they were on the ice and people got really mad because I said significant other instead of, girlfriend,
You
wife.
said partner, and a bunch of whiny crybabies got mad, and you know what? They can stay mad.
I didn't know what they were, so I'm trying to be careful. But yeah, no, she's an incredibly talented athlete in her own regard, and I think you are
I
right.
think she's like a synchronized swimmer, if I remember correctly.
She has medaled in the Olympics, so then again, so has Alexander Nikishin. So.
Right, and that's what's crazy is like he's an Olympian. People forget that. Like, yes, I know like the Olympics are for the best amateur athletes, whatever, but like Alexander Nikishin
I'm
this was
double
the
checking.
2022 Olympics.
Yeah.
So he's 20 years old.
Yeah, 21, 22.
Yeah, and he's an Olympian.
It's unbelievable
for his country's national team. And there's a lot of good players playing in Russia.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that team, Nikita Nesterov, if we take away the horrible things that he did, Slava Voinov, that's probably
We're not taking away that. I think what you mean to say is that he happened to have been on that team.
Yeah, the wording of that was but I mean Dmitry Vorenkov, who is I think now playing on Columbus, Mikhail Grigorenko,
Yes.
Nikita Gusev, Anton Slepyshev, Arthur Kayamov, Arseny Gritsuk,
some former NHL players for sure.
And I mean Gritsuk's going to be an NHL guy this season, and he'll probably be really good because in that series, he was probably their second or third best player. It was Nikishin, Demidov, and Gritsuk. That was basically their entire team.
I
So
would say that was their entire team the whole year.
yeah, and I mean, and seeing Nikishin, who in 21-22, I think was 20 or 21 on that team that had nothing. He was the youngest player on that team. Him and Arseny Gritsuk. There were only 2001 guys on that team. That's unbelievable. So again, he's a game changer. And to anybody asking me when he comes over, please be patient for the love of God. It'll happen when it happens. It will happen.
The first ever F-bomb on the Prospects account, by the way.
Yeah, that one. That came.
I really don't think I ever used it, which is kind of a shock for me, because like there were some times I wanted to.
Yeah, I've been tested a few times, but I felt that one was definitely the right moment because it just.
Yeah, I mean, I think that with Nikishin in general, like folks are gonna get excited, and I think the excitement's good. But then when it turns into like, oh, why hasn't he signed here yet? Like that just gets kind of annoying, and
Yeah,
like
so it doesn't happen.
I definitely didn't feel like dealing with that back in the day, so I definitely understand why you wouldn't feel like dealing with that either.
Yeah, I can't wait for in 2 weeks, and we still haven't gotten any official confirmation. I'm gonna have people trying to do very mean things to me online, and I'm just gonna have to explain, hey guys, it's still gonna happen. Just wait, please, thank you.
That's when Nikishin Watch comes in, and you just turn it into a bit and just make everybody laugh.
It's still gonna turn into a bit more than likely. I just have to figure out the correct way to do it.
Yeah.
Anything else? So
just stage a stakeout outside of Lenovo Center.
That is a horrible idea.
I mean, hey, listen.
It's like the jokes of like the school walkout whenever something happens. The free this person school walkout, and it's just
I totally forgot about that.
Just Nikishin watch, and it's just 10
free Nikishin.
Just 10 people outside Lenovo Center getting escorted by security after 20 minutes.
Oh man.
All right, speaking of some other guys that are coming over to North America, I got some confirmation on Monday, because I think this is going to go up Wednesday, but got confirmation on Monday that Joel Nyström is finally coming to North America. I'm actually really genuinely excited about this. I've been a big Joel Nyström fan. I think Matt has too. We've been Nyström fans. I mean, for me, it's been the past 2 years, because from 23 to last season and then to this season, he's taken a lot of growth, and unfortunately not physically. He's still 5'11", but the offense has grown. His defense has continued to get better, and he's played big minutes for a good SHL team for the past 2 years. He's been one of their more important players, and now he's going to come to North America as a very refined player already. So I'm really interested to see how he meshes in to North America and how fast he can get up to speed.
Yeah, I think Nyström, I guess like the comp, and I don't want to say that he's a similar player, because like I really don't like comparisons all that much. Like, he kind of gave me Jesper Sellgren vibes. Like,
oh no,
Sellgren wasn't bad. He was actually a lot of people, like when I remember talking to Jason Shaver and being surprised that Sellgren left, because he felt like Sellgren was truly on like a fast track to the NHL with how he was playing. But you know, obviously the Canes organization didn't think so. But so with Nyström, you're getting a guy who skates probably better than I would say like half the defensemen in the Canes system. He's certainly a better skater than Morrow. I would argue that, you know, he's maybe, if not just as good of a skater as like Dom Fensori. Like, it's certainly not.
I think those two are pretty close skating wise.
Like, maybe an Alexei Himasalmi is probably a better comp for the skating. Because Himasalmi's got some wheels. Nyström's biggest thing, though, is he's got the hockey sense. He's a smart defender. I think the offense has taken probably the most steps forward, but he's playing in a league where it requires you to be responsible defensively, and he's done that. You know, he's done everything he's been asked to. So I think he's a player that, you know, could potentially help Chicago down the stretch. I mean, I know they've struggled with some injuries, but also, you know, like, I wouldn't say their defense has been like stellar this year, so it wouldn't shock me if he maybe steals a job from somebody.
I definitely think, because I think they have 6 games left. I think it's maybe like 6, somewhere around there. I definitely think he's going to get a good tryout. I don't know how
That's a good way to put
many
it.
I don't know how many games he'll actually get, but I definitely think if he gets up to speed in North America pretty fast, I don't think it'll be tough to hold him out of a spot, because again, he's coming over as a very refined player in his own right already. And building off your point about in the SHL, you have to be good defensively. Another guy that is expected to join the Chicago Wolves this season, he's already going to join next year because he terminated. His contract was done with Malmo. Terminate. I don't know the correct verbiage. They just said thank you for being here in Swedish. Dominic Bedinka. Um, he their highest pick last year. He was the 34th overall pick. And truth be told, I didn't do a ton of research on Badinka, and it wasn't because I didn't. I just had other guys that I thought would be, and I also had to focus on the first round more. And Badinka was more like mid second
He was
high.
fringe. I
Yeah,
think
he was in that area, but like it was. I focused on Michael Haig, who went 21 right before the Hurricanes. So I think the Hurricanes were 27. Charlie Ellick, who I think went 40th. I think. And then
I don't
obviously
remember, but I think he also signed recently.
he did. And the other one obviously being Nikita Artemonov, which I nailed on the head, and I'm very proud of myself for that. But then again, I think you could have just stapled Hurricanes to his name on every single draft board, and you would have probably gotten it right like a year ago. He was prototypical. In any case, Badinka is very interesting because he's 19 years old. He's
Mm-hmm.
November 2005, and he has already played well over 70. I think his total is 82, 90 or SHL games, 90 SHL games over 2 seasons for Malmo. And, he's not getting a ton of playing time because, again, he's 19 years old playing in a senior league. And unless you are an incredible player, an incredible talent, something like an Axel Sandin Pelika is the first one that comes to mind, who is Chkalefty's number one defenseman. Badinka's carved out a great role for himself, and he's played very well defensively. There's a lot to like defensively in his game, and he's using his size. He's 6'3". He's 190, maybe something around there. But he's a bigger defenseman, and he's very good. I think his defensive game is good. I think his skating is going to hold up. And again, he's 19, and he's going to come to North America already, and he's going to be with Chicago. Either he's going to be in Chicago at some point this season. I don't know if he'll play, but at least for next season, he's probably going to have a role with Chicago, and I'm very interested to see his translation. I think honestly more than Nystrom, because I'm not too worried about Nystrom, but I'm definitely interested a lot in Badinka and how it translates.
Yeah, it's weird. Badinka, like, I mean, I think he should come to the AHL at the very least just to get pro experience. I don't think he's going to play. The concern that I have with him is he went from being a like 20-minute a night in the SHL guy this past year in his draft year to being a third pairing defenseman his whole season this year. And the reason that concerns me is like partially like it could just be Malmo got better, and that certainly happens, but also like at no point this year did he work his way up into a bigger role with that team. And it's not like Malmo was that good.
That is true.
So that's my concern. My concern is I don't really know if he's ready for the pro game on this side.
I will say the Malmo defense definitely took a step in a better direction year over year. Like last year, they were led by Tivu Kivi Halme, if I could speak, Joakim Ryan, who is now with the Hurricanes, Jacob Galvis, and Badinka were their only guys that honestly I could name, but there are probably more that are better as just the few I can name. This year,
Sure.
they brought in Robin Salo and they brought in Lassie Thompson. So they did bring in 2 guys, and I want to say at least one of them, if not both of them, are righties already. or Salah's a lefty, but Thompson's a righty. So they brought in guys that have more experience, that have played pro hockey over him. So I'm not entirely surprised he did get that role. But that's where he was in
Sure.
the preseason. So I honestly didn't expect him to get higher unless he played out of his mind. But again, it's kind of hard to play really, really well when you get low ice time in the first place. But I wasn't truthfully
Yeah.
disappointed in his season. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was just okay.
Right, and I think that's what concerns me is like you're bringing in a 19-year-old who was just kind of okay. Like he wasn't stellar like Nadeau was, you know.
We're just gonna okay. I mean, yeah, that is fair, but I
Are you
guess
saying am I stealing one of your players again?
no, it's fine. I do want to ask because we'll talk about Nadeau, but I wanted to ask, what would you classify as a harder league to play in if you're trying to see is the SHL or college?
Oh, the SHL is so much harder of a league to play in.
Okay, so that I guess that's kind of my thing is like Nadeau. I mean, he was incredible as a freshman, but I do think it's still just going to be harder for a guy that's under 20 on a team that has experienced defensemen above him. That's all.
No, for sure. And I think, the point I'm trying to make is like I'm curious to see how his transition goes because by all accounts he just kind of had an okay season. So I'm curious to see like what the development plan is, kind of what the mindset of Badinka is coming into the year and whether or not he gets in a game. Like the North American ice is very different. I know we hear that a lot, but like it's true. There's a lot less time for players to make decisions. There's a lot less space on the ice for players to make moves. So you kind of have to be perfect. And, I wonder how that adjustment's going to go because we kind of saw flashes of stuff. I would say the defense at when he was at rookie camp was I would say he was probably one of the better defensive defenders.
100%. Yeah.
But you know, that's obviously a rookie camp. I'm very curious to see how it goes over the course of the season because I think that'll be really telling.
Oh, 100%. And he'll probably get a nice not extended, but he'll definitely get a better look in camp this season with, now being in North America, he doesn't have the obligation to go to Europe. So that might cut his preseason short. So I'm interested about that. But again, it's all kind of just moot until we see him in North America and see him play. But I think it's definitely the most intriguing thing. Again, he was your highest pick last season. So
Yeah, in a draft that's seen a lot of players do pretty well.
oh yeah. So you've already mentioned him, the top 20 scorer, one of the top 20 scorers in the AHL at a ripe 19 years old. The currently tied for 7th in goals as a 19-year-old in the AHL, currently having one of the best U20 seasons of all time in the AHL, both goal scoring wise, point wise. And as I pointed out on Twitter recently, this is one of the best U20 seasons a Canes prospect has ever seen in North America.
Yeah.
Bradley Nadeau, who was a very late first round pick, 30th overall, out of the pride and joy of the BCHL, or sorry, I guess Coquitlam's the pride and joy, but the BCHL. And my God, what a player he has turned out to be. And I feel,
True.
again, we speak about him a lot just because, again, it's kind of hard not to speak about him when he has 29 goals and he's almost a half goal a game player as a 19-year-old in a professional hockey league. That's ridiculous. 29 goals in 61 games.
Nick, do you remember when there were a whole lot of takes around the World Juniors about how Nadeau was not the right choice and he's actually terrible?
Dude, I couldn't get away from him.
And there was a certain writer. I'm actually not going to name names because I'm trying not to be petty, but who basically like ranked Nadeau like 5th out of our prospects and was like, yeah, he's struggled in the AHL and I think he sucks. And I'm like, he's one of two 19-year-olds playing in the AHL this year, like playing the highest level of North American professional hockey. Like what Nadeau's been able to do this year is incredible. And I think, people are going to be asking, like, why didn't he get called up? You know, why did Justin Robidoux get called up? I mean, maybe not so much anymore that he had a goal and an assist in his first 2
Oh, I
games,
forgot
but
about.
like, you know, I think with Nadeau, you want him to get a full year of AHL hockey. I think he played maybe 30 games last year.
I can tell you 37 is the exact
Yeah,
number.
not many.
No.
Like, that's college hockey in general. Like, that's typically the biggest adjustment for those players is the rigor of the schedule in the NHL.
Yeah, and getting him adjusted to especially AHL hockey, because again, that's still a gigantic change from NCAA, is awesome. And it's just unbelievable and probably speaks really highly of his work ethic and his ability to adapt that he,
Mm-hmm.
especially somebody had a stat, and it was a private account, so I really don't want to go back and try and find it, but like from the World Juniors, like whenever he came back, he's been like the most productive U20 player of all time in the AHL, or like one of the most productive U20 players. And again, this is after the World Juniors, and it would take a lot of research to do it, so I really don't want to. But he's been unbelievable. And every time I tweet out a goal clip, I always laugh when I watch it back because it's Ovi's office.
It's the same spot.
It's the same spot, but he drops to one knee. And when he drops to one knee, like he's about to propose to the back of the net, dear God in heaven,
Absolutely.
son, that thing is, you're not stopping it. Even if the goalie moves, you're not stopping it.
Well, and I think what's just fascinating about the way Nadeau plays right now is just his remarkable consistency.
Yep. I mean, right. And we talked about his inconsistency like what, 2 weeks ago?
No, not inconsistency, just like,
I'm
I
saying
mean,
we
he's
did.
making rookie mistakes.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen. Like the other game, he made a really bad pass. It was a soft, kind of not lazy pass, but just kind of carefree pass. Top of the blue line, gets intercepted, goes the other way, goal.
Yeah. I do remember that clip.
Like, making those types of plays, like, that happens, and that's going to happen just as he adjusts some more to pro hockey, but just remarkably consistent offensively. Like, he's going to be a dangerous threat every time he steps on the ice, regardless of even strength or power.
Yeah, that was my big realization moment. Was I was trying to figure out how many power play goals he had, and out of the 29, he has 8.
Which is actually less than I thought it was.
I was the same way. I went, I feel as if I've seen that dude score a power play goal like 20 times this year, and he's only done
At
8.
least.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And that's awesome. We
Only 8. Wow.
we love Bradley Nadeau around these parts. Great guy, a very nice human being. His brother's also really nice as well. Josh Nadeau, who
Josh Nadeau, yes.
he's in the same boat as his brother. He's going to be an NHL player. No idea where, but he definitely will be. I think his talent is really good. But again, he's not a Canes prospect, so technically I don't have to talk about him. But he's just a good player, and if the Canes want to sign him, that'd be cool. But he's probably spending another year in college. So, okay. Speaking of college, one last thing: Jaden Perron transferred to Michigan. We talked about it a little bit last pod 2 weeks ago, and I said, I wonder if Jaden Perron transfers with the head coach gone. And he transferred to Michigan, and I went, "Yep, that's pretty. Yep, sounds about right." I'm intrigued. It's a new conference. Talent's going to be insane for Michigan because already you're going to probably he'll play with Michael Haig at some point this year, and obviously with some rumors about maybe a Porter Martone or a Gavin McKenna or a Michael Misa. Dude, could you imagine McKenna, Haig, Perron?
Gavin McKenna has put up like generational numbers
Oh yeah.
in the dub.
Now imagine
And
moving that to college and you get to play
moving
with.
that to college hockey, like, you know, I just think it'd be neat.
I
But
think it'd be awesome.
the only real comment I have on Perron is, like, good for him. I think that's probably a better landing spot. Like, with the amount of uncertainty surrounding UND, and, like, players have loyalty to the coaches that recruited them too.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that kind of played a role. But from what it sounds like, from what one of the reports was saying, is Perron already knew he was gone in like February.
Yeah. I really just didn't know how to kind of put that. So
Yeah,
I hope the best for Perron, though. I truly and hopefully will find a way out to Ann Arbor at some point this season so I can watch
it'll be
it.
a fun trip.
I would, dude, I want to go to Ann Arbor so bad. And seeing Michigan play hockey, seeing Jaden Perron play hockey, that'd be awesome. I feel as if that'd be a great trip. Great little December trip as well, so it's super cold. Mm.
Yeah, right.
And then I just want to talk about one other guy before we head to everybody's favorite place, back to Russia. I just wanted to talk about Jackson Blake because I had a conversation with someone today, and I said I feel bad because I don't get to talk about Jackson Blake enough. I feel as if, and I hate it for myself because I definitely should because he's having a really, really good rookie season. And this is a guy who somebody on the prospect account said, Nadeau's definitely making the NHL roster. That would be my pick. And then Jackson Blake made it. And I went, yeah, that makes sense. He was probably the most NHL ready. And I continue to be proven in this regard that Nadeau, he was probably not ready for NHL hockey, but he's having a great AHL season. But Jackson Blake was the most NHL ready. And look at what he's doing 31 points in 76 games. And he started as a fourth line player and has shown enough to become a first line player playing with Seth Jarvis and Sebastian Aho in his first professional season. And I think that's neat.
Yeah, I mean, 31 points in 76 games, I think, kind of doesn't tell the whole story with Blake. Like, that's obviously a less than 40 point pace. Like, right now, it's looking like he's projected for 33 points.
Yeah.
However, you watch him play and you see what he does. And this is what we talked about, where the process is there, the results just aren't quite there yet. Blake could be a 50-point player in this league once he starts figuring out the timing, and his finishing hasn't been great this year, and I think that's the next step. Is I think over the offseason, I think he's going to work on his goal scoring a bit because he's getting set up. I think he's just missing on some chances, but he's been an unreal player for the Canes this year.
His playmaking is next level, and his board work. If he goes on the boards, it's insane how much a 5'11" player will come out of it more often than not.
And his takeaways, the amount of takeaways this dude has.
His forechecking ability is ridiculous. Combine that with the fact that he backchecks really well. Like, I think I tweeted out his evolving hockey player card because I wanted to. I like that stuff. I'm a little analytics nerd from time to time, but I think he was like in the higher than 90th percentile for even strength defense, and it's partially probably because he draws a lot more penalty than he takes. But he's like you still when you watch him, you can see the defense though. Like you can see him back check, you can see him apply really good forechecking pressure, and he takes the puck away like nobody's business. He's a thief. Yep. It's insane. Jackson Blake is sick.
Well, it's so funny. The year he was drafted, he was just slightly over 3 points per game in high school hockey.
Eden Prairie High.
Yes. And then was okay with Chicago. He had 17 points in 25 games. But, like, it always makes me laugh. So the Canes have gotten 76 games out of Jackson Blake this year.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to be the... No, I don't. I don't hate to be this guy. The guy that tweeted, Jackson Blake has a 1% chance of making the NHL. It's like, that's why you can't just look at a chart to like talk about these players, because there's so much that goes into it. There's so much. Like, I understand, yes, statistically the odds might be against him because he was an under 6 foot tall, like 140 freaking pound winger. But like, get him in the right system, get him under the right development coaches, and it could work. Same with the guy like Jalen Chatfield. Didn't work out in Vancouver. He's been awesome in Carolina.
Yeah.
But according to Washington fans, he should be a convicted felon right now.
There might be some other You know what? We're not gonna. Last thing I'll say on Blake is that I think there's also a trend of when he gets used to a team and used to a league, he gets a lot better. Because 17-25 his first year with Chicago, and then 77-61 in his second year. And to be fair, his first year for for North Dakota, he still had 42 points in 39 games. But the next year, he was a Hobie Baker finalist with 60 points in 40 games. So, 31 points in 76 games in a year. He had really bad puck luck, and his shot probably wasn't all the way where he wanted it to be. I just really like Jackson Blake. And I think
he's heating up at the right time with 6 points in his last 5 games, 9 points in his last 10. Like, that's something, that's looking like a top line player.
Yeah, it definitely top 6. Top 6. I'll go top 6. Top line is definitely
No, I know.
there,
I'm just saying, like, the rate he's producing at is of a top line player right now.
100%.
So, all right.
It's Russia time, Matt.
It is Russia time.
Everybody's favorite. Let's talk some Severstal Cherepovets.
Hooray!
Don't sound too excited. Let's talk about a guy who had 14 points in 63 games, technically 68. That's 5'10" left-handed defenseman Vladimir Gurdinin.
You started with 5'10". Is it Mukhanov?
How did you pronounce that?
Is it Mukhanov or Muhanov?
I do Mukhanov.
Mukhanov. Okay.
That's what comes to me naturally. No, that would be Vladimir Gurdinin. We've talked about Gurdinin before, and Matt's made a lot of good points that, he's 5'10" and his best trait is defense.
And skating.
Yeah, yeah. It's a weird build because you don't normally get a lot of defensemen that come into maybe not the KHL, but just who grow into being 5'10" and are more defensively sound than offensively. Normally they go all offense because they're smaller. And especially with his skating ability, you would think. But Gurdinin has become a very, very sound defender for Severstal. He had been their top pairing, top 4 guy. And a lot of times this year, he was playing on his offside. So he was he was playing on the right side while being a left-handed defenseman, it's interesting. I wouldn't say it's good, because obviously you like having guys playing on their natural side, but it's always nice to also give the guys the chance to see that side and give them some level of familiarity. The interest now becomes what happens. I've heard nothing. I don't know. On the one hand, if he stays in the KHL, good for him. It's probably what he wants. He'll probably get some nice money to play either with Severstal again. On the other hand, if he wants to try North America, I would like it. I like Vladimir Gurdinin's game. I think there's a lot to like. Obviously, the defense and the skating. It kind of just depends on Vladimir Gurdinin himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been fine in the KHL. Would I hate to see him play another year? Probably not. I mean, on like a scouting scale of 80, he's probably like a 55 to 60 grade skater, which is, above average to good, I would say. And then probably like a 50 to 55 defender. Like, solid. The physicality's not really there, though, so that kind of keeps it from being in the good category, like good to great. I mean, it's just everything else about his game. He's such a weird profile because there's not a lot of offense to his game, and usually players like that have offense, and that's why. And when I say weird, that doesn't mean bad. It's just atypical.
Yeah, it's just because if you take a guy like Dominic Fensore, for example, where he's 5'9", but he is probably the Wolves' best offensive defenseman right now, outside of Ty Smith. But Fensore is unbelievable, and he's smaller and he has insane skating, but he went more into offense and started learning defense after the fact. And the defense got really good, and his offense has stayed at a really high level because he's now about a half point per game player as a defenseman in the AHL, and that's pretty good. So Gurdinin's weird. He's also, I give him this though, he's played over 150 games at the KHL level, and he's 21.
No, he's been great. Like that's the thing is he's been really solid, and like because he was with Seska, right? He was with
Yeah, CSK.
yeah. So he got out of that system, and I think that did him a lot of favors because he finally was able to just play like and play consistently too.
Yes. That's the big thing. He went from 26 games in 22-23 at the KHL level to 53. So definitely, and 50 of those came with Severstall. So
Yeah, and I think that's what helps, and I think with a guy like him, I think it would be fine if he played pro North American games. But I also think like if he plays another year in the KHL, like that's fine too.
yeah. And as always, whatever I see or hear, whether that be I have started to listen to Russian sports podcasts, which is terrifying because, dear God, I'm going too far in. Or if I read something about Seversol and what they're doing, or even see it if they announce an extension or anything like that, obviously I will let people know. Sticking with Severstal, I didn't know he was still 19. Timur Mukanov is 19 still.
Oh yeah, he's young.
I didn't know that. It didn't cross my mind. And what's insane about that is that he has, let me double check my math here, 129 KHL games as a 19-year-old. Now, Mukanov's kind of sick, in my opinion. Um, I don't. He doesn't normally get a lot of high end playing time. He's kind of always been lower in the Seversol lineup, and I think that's due to they have other guys that have definitely age and probably more experience on him, like
Yeah,
that play up that high. But like he understands his role and he plays his role really well. I think the offense is something that's really really good. I think he had in the KHL playoffs anyways. He was the 13th forward, came on for one shift, forechecked, forced a turnover, primary assist for a goal, and that's kind of his game. He's a decent forechecker. He skates pretty well. He's a decently smart player. He's a good like the offense is good. Defense is also not bad, but again, he's 19 and he's not getting a lot of playing
right.
time. But again, 129 KHL games is kind of sick.
Well, and I think with his kind of skill set, you're really hoping that he can be a mini Jackson Blake.
I honestly never really put that together, but I don't hate it.
That's all I have to say. I really he's not a player I've watched a whole lot because I think he was like a 6th round pick, and at that point I'm just like, that happens, it happens.
You're telling me you don't religiously watch Andre Krutov tape, who's a 7th?
Listen, I used to religiously watch all our prospects, and I can say the only prospects I've consistently watched this year, other than Nikishin, have been with the Wolves.
Yep, not surprised. But yeah,
That's because Flow Hockey already has Wolves games because I use it for the Express. So
you can also watch SHL playoffs. You can watch Galefty and Oscar Voulette.
I didn't know that. What time? Those games are usually when I'm working.
Yeah, it's at 1:00.
Yeah, that's work time.
With Mukanov though, he is still contracted for another year in the KHL, and there has been and I truly mean absolutely nothing on any intention. So,
Oh yeah, he's absolutely staying another year. Carolina would not bring him
yeah.
early.
No. Next guy is I don't if we had Kane's Prospects Awards, which I'm still thinking about this year. It's something I kind of like. I like the idea of it's something to do in the dead period, which is definitely something that I need to work on because definitely in the summer I've had days where I just did nothing and I felt bad. But it's the summer. Alexander Paravelov. He was a 3rd round pick in 2022, and let me tell you what, and I can actually say this publicly because good friend Oleg Smirnov posted about it publicly. His trade from Omsky Krylia to Metalurg Novokuznetsk was, in his words, the first time he's been treated fairly.
Yeah, I mean, the way he plays gives off like the enigmatic Russian stereotype, and I hate that because he's a fun player to watch. I think the trade was a good thing for him. I think we saw more of what he's like as a player. Now I want to see him take the next step and either be dominant, just flat out dominant at that level, or take it to the KHL level and finally stick.
That would be the most appreciated thing. He's played in the yeah, he has. Oh yeah, he had the Kunlun Red Star and then the
Yeah, he had
HK
a stint with
Sochi
Sochi
experience.
too. That didn't really work out.
I just wanted to double check myself that he actually, because I thought he did. I just want to double check because I really did not want to be wrong. Okay, yes. His exact words were, the kid was treated in normal way just for the first time in his career, and he shows his skills. So we're good there. 23 points in 26 games after his move. And he was given top line minutes and given top power play minutes, and he was exceptional in that role. And I mean, he went also, he was like, again, plus minus isn't the greatest stat to use. He was a plus 17 in those games. He was a minus 8 with Krylia. That's a jump, to put it lightly. That's a 25-point improvement. And again, whenever I did watch him, I'm going to be very honest here and say that I didn't watch him a ton. I tried to as much as I can, but it's very hard to watch every prospect. I'm just going to let that be known now.
It is. I would like to see a lot of people try it.
He's good. Offensively, he is exceptional. Like the shot is very good, or at least good. His playmaking is good. There's a lot of things to like about his game. And also, as I was told by Oleg Smirnov, who put it publicly, he has 1 year left in Russia.
Yes.
His words were, in Russia. Take that as you would like.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's the goal of the Kane Scouts to get their kids over, right?
I'm just saying what he put out in the public sphere.
Sure. I don't blame you, and I think with the fact that he was a third round pick means there's a little bit more incentive for him to come over, or for the Canes to bring him over. Like, I don't know about you, but it's really nice seeing. Well, I don't know if this is going to get posted anymore because Cap Friendly doesn't exist.
Oh yeah.
But Cap Friendly used to make this post around June 1st and August 15th every year of all of the prospects whose rights were set to expire.
Oh, yeah, Puckpedia still does that. I don't know if they'll do like an actual post, but Puckpedia still has all their rights listed.
Right, the posts were nice though, and the reason I say that is because it was really nice seeing those posts and seeing like one Canes prospect on there.
Canes will have 2 this year.
Hamerla and who else?
Quap.
Okay. Which is tough. That's a 3rd round pick and a 6th round pick. But like there are teams that'll have like 3 or 4 players that they will not sign from a draft class. And a lot of teams don't draft as many players as the Hurricanes do. So with that being the case, like that's obviously tougher. So seeing that chart, at the very least, the Canes are getting pro games out of most of their draft picks. Like that's impressive. They're finding players that can translate to the pro game. And right now, really, I mean, there haven't been many years where we haven't seen this pay off. But right now, especially, we're starting to see with Jackson Blake, obviously, Scott Morrow coming in, like Bradley Nadeau's, I would say, got a good shot at being an NHL player next year.
It's very hard to envision a Canes roster that doesn't have Bradley Nadeau on it next year.
No, for sure, me too, and I think the same thing. I'm just saying, like,
cautiously optimistic.
Not happening until it's happening.
Oh my God, my own phrase at me. Oh yeah, my God.
Alexander Nikishin, like you're seeing these players come up, and like that's what's going to keep the Canes good for a long time. Is the players on the entry level contracts playing big roles. Like, it's not like a couple of years ago where Jack Drury was the only player you had on an entry level deal.
I still remember the hype of him coming over from Vaxio.
I mean, yeah, he was a great player in the SHL,
Yeah,
but I said that with the caveat of at the most he's like a diet Jordan Stahl, and I had maintained that
I'd
throughout the whole
say
time.
that's pretty accurate, actually. I mean,
He's just not as big.
he's not doing too bad in Colorado, from what I know.
No,
But
no. I mean, it's another good system, and whatever.
I truthfully
But
haven't
anyways,
watched a
the point
Colorado
that I'm
game,
trying to
so
make is like the Canes are being methodical with how they draft and acquire talent. They're getting pro games out of guys like Juha Jaska, who they sign.
that's been a very good signing for them.
Like even like the fact that he's done so well in the AHL is great, but like the fact that they were able to get you know any NHL games out of a 26-year-old undrafted forward, like that's impressive.
Yeah, that's a very good job by. I do not know who does that scouting for the Hurricanes, but in any case,
It's probably a mix of the pro and amateur scouts.
it's still an incredible job by the front office to even find stuff like that. And then if you look at guys that they've taken recently, like some of the guys they've taken are long shots, but this season through positive developments, you see the vision, and they've had good developments. You can see what they can become. Like Noel Franzen, who was almost a half point per game defender in the Hockey Allsvenskan, you can see the vision of him being a very good puck moving offensive defenseman. Alexander Suryatsky, who doesn't put up a lot of points, he's a very solid defensive defenseman, and now he's getting top 4 minutes for a VHL team that just moved on in the playoffs. And then Roman Chakrin, who's at least playing a lot for a better team, and he's about a half point per game and is still playing decent minutes in the playoffs. You see the vision of these long-term guys, and they're seeing good development out of them. So I always like that stuff. I think that, yeah, go. I'm good.
Right. No, having the good system allows them to take a shot on a guy like Noel Franzen. It allows them to take shots on Justin Poirier.
Yes. Forgot about
You
Poirier.
know, like it allows them to take, like some safer picks. Like Badinka probably doesn't have the highest ceiling.
Artemonov fits that to a bill.
Artemonov, I wouldn't say he was a safe pick.
He had a high floor.
Sure, but I would say his ceiling's at least relatively high too.
Yeah, I'm not denying his ceiling, but at least you could see that his floor, like he was an NHL player at his floor, in my view, because
Sure.
his traits are NHL applicable. But he still had questions: can he get to a ceiling, and can he develop a dynamic trait? And you saw this past year, probably.
And then it allows you to take the risks on Bradley Nadeau.
That one
It allows you to take the risk
time.
on Alexander Rykov, who had been hurt a lot of that year. Charles Alexis Legault, I wouldn't say was necessarily like a risk, but I mean, given the profile,
he was an overager, wasn't he?
double.
Ooh, and I mean, he's turned out to be a very solid player for Chicago.
It would not shock me if the Canes have an injury on D next year if he's one of the first guys called up.
Yeah, we've talked a lot off the podcast about it, but we're super high on Legault because he's smart, he plays very good defense, and he's big.
Yeah, and so just having this system, and that's why we cover the prospects. That's why we do what we do. Is we want to make sure that people know, like ahead of time, who these guys are.
Yeah, the big one I'm getting a prime example of is Nystrom, because a lot of guys are like a lot of the people that follow the prospect account already know who he is, and they have a very good idea of what he is. There's still a few that don't pay attention too often. I still love you all the same, but
Well, and to be fair, not everybody gives a crap about a 7th-round pick from Sweden.
That is true, but this 7th-round pick,
So when the Canes are like, bringing this kid over, they're just like, oh well, he probably sucks. He was a 7th-round pick, and then you have the resources of saying like, actually, here's all of this on the guy. Here's how he could be a contributor, and that's how it builds the hype.
That's why I love this stuff.
That's dude. And like very few people have the time to cover the prospects and actually watch them outside of
Yeah, I feel lucky that I'm in school because now I have
right.
that
I mean, even outside of school, like with my current job, like I would have less time to do it, but I still could probably like maintain it. But like I would not be able to put as much effort into it for sure.
Yeah. Um.
And,
Yeah.
and I think, like the fact that we're able to establish like some hype for players is important. Like there are going to be players that deserve a lot of hype, and
Gee, I wonder who.
5 years in the making, man. It's been 4.5 years.
And you're probably gonna have to wait another few months.
I don't think it'll take months. I think he's here by playoffs.
Weeks to months is what I would estimate.
Yeah, I would hope that he's here before playoffs. I will take during round one.
I've said it a few times. My opinion was he's a SKA player contractually until May 31st. If it's anything earlier than that, spectacular.
Right, yeah. Like, I'm hoping they're just like, hey, Alexander, thank you. Here's your release from the team. Now go work on your visa. The second I see that he's gotten released, I'll be like,
And guess who gets that information first?
probably you, because it's gonna come on Telegram at like 2 in the
You're
morning.
darn tootin'. And I got
Yeah.
I've had Match TV's Telegram muted for a while, and I unmuted it today just in case. I had 2,500 notifications from them that I just didn't even look at.
That's unbelievable.
I'm dedicated to this. Let me make that abundantly clear.
Yeah.
The last prospect thought, not actually sponsored by White Monster, fueling my things, fueling my life at
Choice.
unbelievable flavor. There was this account that popped up on my personal Twitter account recently, and it was Cold Scout Takes.
Oh, that account sucks.
And I got really mad because the one person that he would only retweet if he saw the name was Justin Robida. And all I said was, Justin Robida has a legit NHL future. I'm intrigued. He has something. And he retweeted it, and I got really pissed because I was like, dude, I watched the guy. I think I would know.
So I can tell you right now that account has to be either an agent or like a parent.
I know it's a Montreal fan. That's all I know.
Just because of how spiteful and like, because they'll always retweet like Scott Wheeler, they'll always retweet Corey Pronman. Like, this has to be somebody whose like kid got a bad ranking and they are just taking it out on everybody. Like, that's the thing is I do not care if people disagree with me, but if you're gonna do it from a burner account, you're a coward.
Yeah, my big thing.
Slide into my DMs and tell me to do my homework like the rest of you.
My big thing with it was like scouts get things wrong all the time. And I'm perfectly fine making a mistake. I'm perfectly fine like completely whiffing on a guy. And I'm always happy when I get something right.
You're lucky to get one NHL player in a draft.
Yes.
Anything above one is an added bonus.
Should we talk about then at this point we can probably say pretty good 2021 class that the Hurricanes had?
We're close.
I think
we need more NHL games out of that class.
Yeah. But in any case, we were both very bullish on Justin Robida's future. And I personally believed he had NHL games in his future because of the way he played and the way he has adapted to every level of hockey. And look who makes his NHL debut and is a goal and an assist in 2 games.
And I would say, like, as fluky as the assist was, like the goal was
still
nice.
Counts. Doesn't matter.
Still counts. But like, I think with burner accounts in general, like, I just can't take them seriously. I cannot. Like, and there's a lot of them on Kane's Twitter.
Oh my god, brother.
But also just in general, like, I'm fine with people disagreeing with me. I welcome
Back to
like from
Robida.
burner accounts in
Okay, never
general. Like
mind.
if you're going to like create one just to harass somebody, like you're already kind of showing your ass by like being like you very clearly don't want it to affect your personal life, and so like you're already letting us know like that you're just kind of a wimp.
So back to Justin Robida.
Good player. He did get sent down, and I think that's not like super shocking because like from what it sounded like today, Monday, when we were recording,
They got everybody healthy again.
like Stahl, Svetch, and Carrier are all back.
And Carrier is in a contact, so yeah.
No, he. Oh yeah, sorry.
in a
Yes,
full contact. But no, yeah, I didn't have any issue with it because I just assumed that this was one, the Wolves were already in Grand Rapids when he got called up the first time and they played in Detroit. So if they needed the extra body, the Wolves were there if they needed one. I'm happy it was Robida though because he's deserved it. He earned every single bit of that called up with how he played in his first AHL season. He is still top 5 in rookie scoring, and he's been. I said it a ton, but he has been everything the Wolves have asked him to be. He's played heavy penalty kill. He's played on the power play and the bumper. He's played center. He's played wing. He's done whatever they wanted him to do, and he's done it at a really high level. And that's why he earned his call up. It doesn't matter that he's, what is he, 5'8"? Ooh, 5'8"? I thought he was 5'9". He's sub 5'10". It doesn't matter because he's
and that
good.
is a generous 5'8".
Well,
That is a generous 5'8". It would not shock me if he was smaller than that.
I'm trying to, because I'm trying to like mentally, because they stood next to each other, Poirier and Robida, because they roomed together at development camp, and I'm trying to like picture that. No, I'd say he's 5'8". I think he's 5'8".
But he is petite.
That's a crazy way to describe a hockey player.
And I think that he's listen, I think he's awesome. I love the way he plays. I think like when you watched him play in the Q, which is not a league that plays an NHL style of play, he's the one player on the ice with NHL habits. Like
He was on a
he's forechecking, he's getting involved in board battles, he's back checking, like he's following the play. He's not just following the puck. He's anticipating plays. Like there are things that he was doing that made me go, "Oh, this player's different than every other QMJHL pick ever."
Yeah, he was also on a. I shouldn't mention it. He was also on a really sick Quebec Remparts team.
He was. That was a very good team.
Zach Bolduc, Theo Rocher, which is a weird name that I remember somehow. James Malatesta, another weird name that I remember somehow.
Whatever happened to that guy?
He's in the with the Cleveland Monsters, and he made his NHL debut last season, but he's played in 2 NHL games this year. I think he's been hurt a little bit for Cleveland. But
weird, he has not been very good.
I mean 38 games, he's probably been hurt.
Yeah, it's just like
also that if we remember who the head coach of that Quebec Remparts team was,
is it Patrick Waugh?
It was Patrick Waugh. So
yeah, that was right before he went to the Islanders.
Yes, but I don't really. The big thing for me was that he, at every level of hockey he's played at, whether it be the Q, whether it be the ECHL, or whether it's been the AHL, he's played very well, and he has deserved the ice time that he gets. And I'm very happy for Justin Robida.
Same. I think had he not gotten hurt last year, he would have joined the Wolves once they started to mend their relationship halfway through the year.
They had was it Seeley, Fensore, and Griffin Mendel? Was that the three?
Yeah, and then Suzuki. No, Suzuki stayed with Springfield.
I don't think
there may have been one or two others, but I think that was the contingent that they. Oh, Ponomarev.
Oh yeah, because he started the season with Tucson.
Yep.
Ugh.
And was like terrible. And
That
then he came to the Wolves and was great.
is the Chicago buff, I guess, for him. He just plays better in Chicago.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. But anyways, Nick,
What
I think
can
it's time.
let you opened, you gotta close now.
I know, yeah, I know how it works. Listen, thanks everybody for joining. We appreciate all of you very much. Stay vigilant. Alexander Nikishin is on his way. Look for the signs because it will happen.
Start tracking every airplane out of St. Petersburg.
That's weird. Don't do that. Follow PAX with Matt on Instagram. I open PAX. It's fun. That's a shameless plug. Follow Kane's Prospects as well if
There
you
you
don't already.
go.
How the hell did you find this podcast?
There you go.
And have a great night.
Perfect ending. Good job.
I love it.